Morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Mostly sunny skies today, high temperatures in the low 60s, and it looks like a southwest wind about 10-12 miles per hour. Partly cloudy overnight, 40 to 45 with light winds. Tuesday should be mostly sunny around 60, and a chance of a few showers, a blend of sun and clouds Wednesday, the high 60 to 65. Rain showers expected Wednesday night and Thursday, mostly cloudy skies, and the temperature Thursday about 50 to 55. Jonesboro's community radio station, we're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. A car rationing system is in force in Delhi with air pollution at dangerous levels. UK MPs are electing a new Speaker of the House of Commons for the first time in over a decade. The Nigerian Air Force says it's destroyed the hideout of an Islamic State offshoot in Borno, and tens of thousands of people in the southwest of France have been without power on Monday after Storm Amelie blasted the region.
It's 9:01.
Community Conversations is brought to you by Arkansas Early Learning, offering no-cost childcare in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning and happy Monday to everyone. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. My special guest is Mrs. Emma Agnew from the Craighead County NAACP chapter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me once again.
All right, and then back in the studio with us is Ms. Tamara Jackson from Arkansas State University. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so we're going to dive right into our conversation, talking about all things NAACP. But first and foremost, let's talk about voter registration. We know that we have an election year coming up, and it's vital that people get out and register to vote early enough so they can vote when it's time.
Yes, absolutely. And so, you know, one of the forefronts of the NAACP is voter registration. So we are very serious and committed to voter registration. And I just want to, take a few minutes to talk about voter registration and how important it is for us to register to vote. It disturbs me when, I hear people say that they aren't registered and that they do not want to register. So we still have a lot of education to do as far as educating people about why it's important to vote. And so we have an election coming up next year. We have some local, state, and federal elections coming up. And my thing is, if you don't vote, do not complain. So you need to register to vote. I know very few people, I don't think I know any actually, who are satisfied with the way things are in our country, in our state, or in our city. But the first step to going about changing that is to register to vote and to vote. So just registering is not enough. We actually have to work on voter turnout and voter suppression to make sure that your vote counts and that your vote matters, and that it is not somehow suppressed. Well, that may have been a Freudian slip, depressed, but suppressed once you actually get to the poll to vote. So we want to make sure that when you show up to vote, that you are properly registered, that you have the proper identification with you, and that you are allowed to vote. It's it's the main way that we go about changing things. Let me say that. Maybe not the only way, but it's the primary way we go about changing our government. And so I just want to encourage everyone, if you are not registered, call me. You can call me at 931-8248, area code 870. Contact us on our NAACP Facebook page. You can email us at Craig, CRAIGNAACP, at gmail.com. I think that's right. But but in other words, get in touch with us and let us know that you are interested in registering to vote, that you'd like more information on registering to vote, that you like to help register people to vote, that you like to help transport people to the polls. There's work for everybody. And of course, we know, I remember, I'm old enough that I remember the tail end of when voter suppression was really going on in this country. And, we're kind of getting back to that. But leading up to that, during the civil rights era, people died so we could vote. They actually laid down their lives. They were beaten. They were kicked. They had dogs sicked on them. Just everything to discourage them from voting. And so today, it just seems so crazy to me that we won't go to the polls. Even a lot of us who are already registered, we won't take time to go to the poll. We just don't realize how important it is to be able to have a say in our governments.
I have a question. I want to first say good morning to everyone out there that's watching and listening. Thank you all for tuning in. Ms. Shannon Smithy, Alexis Scott, Jonathan Park Sr., Richard Austin, and Damon Thomas. Thank you all very much. I want to ask this question. Thanks to Dr. Branch, I've been doing a lot more research and reading and just listening to programming that I probably wouldn't have paid much attention to, which I need to, but documentaries. And PBS is a great resource. People kind of sleep on that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, I do remember hearing and watching video talking about what the blacks went through right after Civil War, during the Reconstruction era, and what voting was like, or what they were when they had attempted to vote, what that was like. Even when there were blacks in Congress, there were people that wanted to take their seats, and all of the things that happened during that time. Do you feel that people are just not educated enough on what has happened to understand why it's so vital in today's time?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think we need to do a better job of educating not only the black community, but the entire community on how hard a victory this was, to be able for black folk to actually show up and vote without being threatened or beaten. And we just take it for granted now that we are able to vote, but it was a hard-fought battle. They, even when the federal government said we were allowed to vote, there was so much voter suppression going on at the local levels. And as I said, we're getting back to that. And that's why it's so important to vote, because we're going backwards in this thing. The NAACP is not a political organization. We do not endorse candidates or parties. But I think we all know which party the NAACP aligns with more. But, we endorse policies and issues. And so we certainly endorse the right of everyone to be able to vote. We endorse the right of everyone to have free health care, particularly for people who can't afford it, but everyone Other countries are doing that. We're just so far behind on that. And it's just simply because we do not register and we do not vote. And the greater community knows that. And some of our leaders have been told, well, we're not really worried about that because black folk don't vote anyway. And that's the way they look at it. And so I am amazed at the power. Whenever black folk get behind a candidate or an issue, it wins. If we unite as a race of people and support a candidate, that candidate wins. We just have not been doing that. We did that with President Obama, and we've done it in the past before with Bill Clinton, but we don't do it like we should. We need to do that at the local level. And I'll just say, we got some folk at the local level who we need to, vote somebody else in. And so we have just got to be about that, about doing that. And I want to talk a little bit more, too, about the importance of getting people to run.
And that's another thing.
Yeah, you got to have people to run. Yeah, you can talk all you want to about so-and-so he don't need to be in office. He need to be voted out. Well, the only way he's going to be voted out is if you have a good candidate running against him. If he doesn't have any competition, he's not going anywhere. I don't care how terrible he is.
Okay.
Yes. So it's important for our community, people who think like us, to prepare themselves to run for elected office. We just have not been doing that. And there are organizations now that train you and support you in that effort, especially women. There's an organization that will train women how to run for office. And there are organizations that will train anybody how to run for office and support you in that effort. And so you don't have to feel like you'd be doing it by yourself. There is support and help out there for people who would like to be an elected official.
Okay. Tamara, do you have any questions? Anything you want to add?
Well, this is a teacher moment for me.
Okay. Well, then, speaking on preparing those to run for office, and then those of us need to really support and back them, do you feel that we need to start, we as the elders in the community, and even though I'm kind of that middle ground, but
you're not an elder.
You're not an elder.
You need
not
to
an
quit.
elder.
You need to quit.
Okay, well, those like that are elders in the community.
Yeah.
And elder is not just age, but also age and wisdom.
Yeah, but I know what you mean.
Do you feel that we need to start having these conversations with our children when they're junior high school, and just get their mindset thinking about?
You even start in elementary school.
Okay.
Yeah, take them to rallies with you. Take them to meetings with you. Take them to conferences with you. It's important for them to to grow up that way, to grow up learning and being exposed to leaders, to hear leaders speak and to be motivated and encouraged by that, to hear leaders present at conferences, just to have that exposure and that encouragement and that motivation. So yeah, even elementary school, I would say, is not too young to just start exposing our children to the political environment.
Okay. I was looking up some information when we were talking earlier and trying to find the dates for the primaries. Also, one thing that's important to note is that who we vote for in the primaries determines who's going to make it to the final when it comes time for the general election.
Right.
So we need to make sure that we are doing our research on the candidates, looking at who aligns with our thoughts and views, who we feel represents us, because whoever's in that general election is going to be, it's going to be one or two people. So we need to make sure the right person or people are on that ballot, on the final ballot. So and again, that goes across the board for local, state, and national.
And that's a good point, because a lot of time we don't show up for primaries. And so it is very important, to to show up and vote during the primaries, so we will know who our final candidates are going to be. So that's a good point. That it's very important. We tend not to show up much for their local elections only, and when during the primary, but it is crucial. We have got to do better. Mm-hmm. We have just got to do better. Part of the reason that I'd say most of the reason that this country is in the shape it's in now because we didn't show up and vote during the last presidential election. We didn't vote for our Congress and Senate people. Some of us got angry because of the choices and just decided, well, I'm not going to vote. Well, you really don't have a choice if you don't vote at all. Yeah. There's always one that fits your ideals better than the other. And so people did not show up to vote like they should have. And that's one of the reasons the country's in the shape it's in today.
I think if we all would, try to adjust our conversations a little more, instead of talking about the latest gossip, talk about the latest politics,
Right.
Talk about what's happening. Mm-hmm. Look at what's happening in your own state. You have access to this information. I don't know if it's arkansas.gov. There's other websites where you can look up the legislation that's being discussed, what's been passed, what's been voted on. You can even see who voted for what. So get to know who is representing you in your district and what they are actually voting on and what they're saying about the different policies. I have signed up for a newsletter from someone. I may not be particularly fond of this person, but they represent Arkansas.
Right.
So on a national level, so I want to know what they're discussing, what they're voting on, and what their views are.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes you have to do that. You have to check on what's going on with people you don't necessarily agree with. See what they're thinking about. See what they're saying. And I mean, other folk have been doing that for years. So it's important to be educated on what's going on with other folk as well, especially, as you say, in our with our state legislators and our local leaders, and our federal government as well. We need to know how our federal reps and senators are voting, but that's important to stay up on that information. And we just have not educated ourselves on the issues as we should, so that we can align with those who vote like we feel they should. They're supposed to represent us. They're supposed to be servants of the voters, so they represent us.
Yes, ma'am. And then we have local Democratic and Republican Party organizations here, right here in Cricket County. And I think the meetings are open. You don't have to be a member to attend these meetings. So if you want to see what a candidate is talking about, what their platform is, please attend these different meetings. Again, you may not agree with their, talking points. However, you need to hear what they're saying.
Right.
And if they see other people that may not be in their party that come, maybe ask questions and challenge them, I don't know what could happen, However, you need to make your presence known.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And, I will say this. If you would like to attend a party that you don't normally associate with, then I will say that party will be trying to get you to be on their side. So they're not going to be, I don't know what's the word, they're not going to be controversial or hateful or mean or anything, because it's important to them that you see them in a good light, so that you will want to vote the way they suggest. So I don't think there's any reason to be fearful of doing that.
That's right. So we need to get out, get to know each other, get to fellowshipping, and inform yourself. Inform yourself. Yeah. You can't make a good decision voting unless you know what you're voting on. We do plan to, have some
voter registration rallies and, do information on the informational sessions on what's going on. So.
And as time gets closer and the registration deadline closes for everyone whoever's running for what position, whenever that deadline closes for them to submit their paperwork, we will definitely start inviting those individuals on here on the state level and federal level, whoever would give us their time. So stay tuned for those interviews to come, and we will definitely make sure to announce in advance so that you can make plans. And of course, we always record our interviews so that if you can't catch it live, you can always go back and watch the replay.
Yes.
So, and hopefully NAACP will be helping us, get to know who's who and doing what, and
absolutely,
keep that list going.
Yeah.
All right. So we have about a minute before we go into break. So as we get ready to go to break, any other words on voter registration and just voting in general in our last minute and a half?
Just please do it. Just register, and registering doesn't do any good if you don't go vote.
Okay.
So register, go vote. Don't let the weather stop you. Don't let having to wait in line stop you. Don't let not having a ride stop you. Don't let nothing stop you. It's important to go vote. And if you can, take advantage of the early voting. I generally vote early. The lines are generally much shorter. The earlier you vote, the shorter the line. So,
absentee voting is what I do.
So. Yeah, absentee voting. Those are all wonderful ways to exercise your right to vote. So vote early. And the only thing about voting early is sometimes it's so early. I feel like I might change my mind if there's a close race. But vote early and go ahead and get it done so you'll be through with it.
One thing I do want to note also is that you can take notes here on booth with you.
Yes.
So make a list beforehand of who you want to vote for. So
it's particularly good with issues. If there are issues on the ballot, to take your notes with you, so you can remember which way you want to vote on it.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Is your child on the brink of becoming addicted to video games? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Many kids would rather stare at a screen than stare at the pages of a book. And when playing video games becomes obsessive and all-consuming, then problems will soon follow. The signs for addiction are obvious. It's the 8-year-old who has a meltdown when he's told to put away his iPad. It's the teenager who lets his grades slip because he can't turn off the Xbox. To help control this growing issue, here are ways to keep your child from becoming addicted to video games. First, set time limits for playing and stick to them. Second, take the video games away if your child disobeys the house rules. Third, make sure they're in some kind of sport or other physical activity. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a non-profit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
This is the sound of salmonella gyrating on your undercooked chicken. And it looks like Mom might be taking it out a little early. Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. So use a thermometer to cook each type of meat to the right temperature. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com. Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
Check out Melvin Williams of the Williams Brothers every Sunday morning from 5 to 7 a.m. here on KLEK for the Melvin Williams Down Home Gospel Radio Show, playing the very best in quartet and inspirational gospel music that you'll love, as well as feature interviews with all of your favorite gospel artists. It's Melvin Williams Down Home Gospel Radio Show, Sundays from 5 to 7 a.m. on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with my special guest, Mrs. Emma Agnew from the Craig County NAACP chapter and Ms. Tamara Jackson from Arkansas State University. All right, so we're going to jump right back into our conversation. If you missed the first part, we will recap a little bit of the conversation at the end. We're going to jump into the 2020 census. I had the pleasure of working for the Census Bureau twice, some years ago. I can't remember. Many years ago. So, but the process was interesting and amazing and fulfilling. Even though I didn't work in the field, still, it was a wonderful experience. And so let's talk about the census, what it is, how we need to get involved, why we need to get involved.
Okay, well, I think most people know that the census count is taken every 10 years by the Census Bureau. And most folk, they will, mail, I think they'll mail a sampling of forms out to people to fill out and mail in. But for most people, there are actually census workers who physically come around and knock on your door and not identify themselves and have you fill out a questionnaire of information about you. And traditionally, our Black and Latino communities are really and truly undercounted. We're underrepresented. For whatever reason, we're not comfortable filling out census documentation. But the census information not only identifies who's in the community, but federal monies are distributed based on the census count. So if our count is under, then money that should be coming to our community does not reach us. People are most familiar with things like Medicaid, Medicare, health care, the Community Development Block Grant, and the housing allowance from HUD. I think most folk are, probably most familiar with HUD. But all of that is affected by the census count. Jonesboro gets less census money because we're not showing true numbers on the number of low-income people that need it. Wow. And so when we complain about this long waiting list and, HUD is running out of money locally, It's because some of us haven't registered with the census, so they don't know we're out there. And so that's, just boils it down to how important it is to do the census. It's not just that the government is being nosy, but it's really a way for them to distribute your tax dollars. And so I just want to encourage everybody, when there's a knock on your door and a census worker identifies themselves, please be responsive and kind and answer the questions that they're asking, because they're just doing a job.
And one thing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, there are also jobs available. So if you want to have an experience with someone that looks like you, then either you apply for the job or encourage someone else to apply for the job. There are field positions. One is called an enumerator. Those are the ones that actually go around and do the face-to-face surveys. There are people that work in the office, either doing payroll, answering the phone. There's a variety of jobs. And so if you go to 2020census.gov, G-O-V, look at the jobs link, and the qualifications are not that strict. 18 years older, valid social security number, U.S. citizen, valid email address. You will have to do an application, background check, take an assessment test, and then complete some training. The hours are flexible, days, nights, weekends. So, go read this information and look at what jobs are available, and the pay is not bad. It can be supplemental at best if you just need something part-time. And so I would definitely consider, I hope you all would consider at least applying, so that way you can go into those neighborhoods and help those individuals feel more comfortable talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to mention the same thing, that they are hiring, and they are hiring now for 2020.
Weekly and pay for your training.
So they're hiring now. So I encourage you, to apply for a census job. But beyond that, please be responsible and responsive to the census. And here again, we will more than likely be doing some additional training and education, on the census and why it's important to be a part of the census. The last time I checked the NAACP website, the information hadn't posted yet. It just said coming soon. So as soon as it comes, I will share it, with the community. So you will have access to the information as we get it.
Okay. And to stay on top of what's happening right here in Craighead County, go to the Craighead County NAACP Facebook page. And do you have a separate website or just the Facebook page right now?
Right now, just the Facebook page.
Okay.
We've been thinking about a website, but we haven't totally decided yet. But, the information is on the national website.
Okay.
NAACP.org. And all the information is there. Okay. So, yeah.
And on speaking of, we would like more people to get involved with the NAACP.
Oh, absolutely. Amen. We thank you for that segue, and I can talk about membership.
Yes, ma'am.
It is still only $30 a year for an NAACP membership, and you waste more than that on eating stuff you don't need. So skip a couple of those meals where you plan to go eat something you don't need, and get you an NAACP membership. It is membership is very important to the NAACP. Locally, we do ask that you register locally for the NAACP membership rather than on the national website. So, please get you an NAACP membership. Meetings are not mandatory. I've had a number of people ask me, are there a required number of meetings that you have to attend? No, ma'am, no, sir. There's not a required number of meetings. We do encourage you to attend meetings when you can, if you can. But if you can't, we don't call roll. We don't check off who's there and who's not. But it's important to us that you become a member. The state and national recognizes numbers with the branches, so they recognize number of memberships as far as voting strength at the conferences or whatever, electing officials. The delegates are based on the size of the unit. So we just need help. And then we all know a strong NAACP is a better NAACP. The more members we have, the stronger we can be, and the more change we can affect.
Yes, ma'am. And have you all started a college chapter?
Yes,
okay.
we have. Awesome. Did you know about that?
I just heard about that.
Yeah. There is a college chapter at A-State.
Okay.
And it's a pretty good size starting off. So we do encourage young people, and the student membership, I believe, is $10 a year.
Okay.
And so we do encourage the students to join the college chapter and be a part that way. They are separate, but at the same time we're together. But they totally run their own chapter. We support and mentor them, but they are responsible and decide, what projects they want to work on, what they want to do, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, thanks for reminding me about that. Yeah, we were real excited about that. That we have a college chapter that's actually up and going now. I think they're holding meetings.
Mm-hmm. Then the NAACP also has, I don't know if it's a chapter, but there is opportunity for the younger population to be involved. It's like a junior edition, junior version. We talked about with the voter registration and then becoming just overall more informed when it comes to politics. We need our children to be more informed and engaged in every aspect of their community. So bring them to NAACP meetings, get them involved, talking to them about the issues.
Oh, absolutely.
Start.
Yeah. There's been some talk about trying to start a chapter at JHS also, but that's in the early stages.
Okay.
And children can even join, like our branch for $10. So, so if you just want to join and sign your child up so he can have a membership card and bring him to the meetings with you, that's fine. You can do that. So, we encourage anybody to join our memberships.
That's awesome. And there are a variety of issues that the NAACP would advocate for.
Right.
We have to let people know you're not like a legal organization. So there's some legal issues that you cannot either address or tackle, but you can direct a person to someone who can help.
Right.
And there are some issues that I watch a lot of YouTube more than TV. Well, because there's like news clips and different stories, and so there are some issues that have been happening around the United States, that the NAACP has stepped in because there were some civil situations, and civil as in I don't want to say crimes against minorities, but injustices, there you go, against minority groups. And so the NAACP has stepped up in those different states and citizen states and show their support for whatever the issue is. So I won't get too deep into a lot of it because it's a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of issues, and a lot of people say, well, why should I join the NAACP? What does the NAACP do? Well, the first thing I think is, with the condition of the country today, I'm surprised people even ask that. With everything going backwards, we were talking at the break about before Reconstruction, how we had all these black legislators, et cetera, and then Jim Crow came along, and that was no more. And so we're back at that point. If we're not careful, we're going to find ourselves in another Jim Crow era. And so I'm always surprised when people say, why should I join? But the NAACP has always been a social justice organization. equality, fighting for the equalities of all people, to make sure that people are not discriminated against because of their race, creed, or color, and to fight for those issues that affect people, that affect minorities. And we're still doing that. We're the oldest and largest civil rights organization in the world. And we've been around 112 years. And we are still fighting the same fight that we fought when we started. Voter suppression, voter registration, discrimination, et cetera, et cetera. So we haven't changed. It's still the same thing. And we have not arrived, so it is still needed. So we just encourage you to become a member and help us in this fight. And you had mentioned legal issues. I will add to that. We do get a number of discrimination complaints. Some of those, we have what we call a legal redress committee for those issues. And if you are already involved in a lawsuit, we can't help you. If you have an attorney or involved in a lawsuit, the NAACP cannot help unless your attorney reaches out and says, hey, I need the NAACP to do this and this. It is incumbent upon the person who files the complaint to follow through. We get a lot of people who file complaints, and when we tell them the steps they need to take, they don't follow through. And so we get complaints sometimes that we determine aren't discrimination complaints, but something else has happened, just poor work performance or absenteeism or something like that. So we investigate those things and make a determination on how to go forward. The other thing is that if there is a process at your place of work that you need to go through, you need to go through that first. You need to exhaust that work process, like going to HR, or if you have an EEOC office or whatever, you need to go through all of that. You don't, you can't just have an incident and come directly to the NAACP. The first thing we're going to ask is, what process do you have at work? Have you been to HR? Have you talked to your supervisor? And so and I encourage everyone, if you feel like something is happening because you are a minority, take some notes. Notes are critical when you're in that situation. Start you a log. If you feel like this is going the wrong way, start a log on what's happening and write the dates and the times. And on this date they said so and so. On this date they made me do so and so. And start a log, and that helps us a lot to determine if this is really a pattern of discrimination. And if there are other minorities at your job, it's the same thing happening to them.
And in this day and age, with the access of technology, video, voice recording, audio recording can also be very beneficial.
Yeah, switch that cell phone on in your pocket.
Get you one of those little cameras or GoPros or something. But it's sad that we have to take these measures to protect ourselves in certain environments, but by any means necessary.
Yeah.
Time is out for us as a people, as a group, minority group, to be railroaded in certain aspects. And it's not, and I want to say this is from Quabila, not Kelly K. Just because I'm pro me doesn't mean I'm anti everything else.
Right.
I have to be pro me at times because no one else is going to be pro me.
Right.
So, but that doesn't mean I'm turning my nose up at everything and everybody else. So I just want to definitely put that out there. This
Absolutely.
is from Quabila, not Kelly K.
Yeah.
Miss Samira, what do you think? She's just absorbing everything.
She's just smiling.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what was Jim Crow earlier?
Jim Crow is an era where desegregation came back and discrimination came back strong. Where the lynchings happened, that's when they started, really lynching. The rise of the KKK, where an effort was really made to make sure that black folk did not progress and that they took a step back, that they knew their place, so they say. And so they just went about destroying everything that black folk had built, and including self-esteem and everything else. So that's what Jim Crow was all about. That's when they did the voter suppression. We weren't allowed to vote, and so yeah, that was Jim Crow. I don't know why they call it Jim Crow. I'm sure they have a reason for calling it that, but yeah, it was just a lot of racism.
And I would advise anyone to do some background research. There was a case, Plessy versus Ferguson, that was very instrumental in helping keep those laws in place. It was the separate but equal determination. Legal. It was legal doctrine. It was legal at the time, and so there's a lot of cases, a lot of things surrounding it. It happened back in the 1870s, leading up to a certain time period. So I would say anyone, go do some research. Know for yourself what was what, so that as you're trying to argue your defense against someone, you have a leg to stand on. You have some back, and you're not just shooting out the side of your neck, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So I think we all need to go back. Even though it was, they may have learned some of this in school, it doesn't hurt to refresh our knowledge.
Now, they didn't teach that in business.
No. All right, so we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our discussion. And if there are any dates and times and locations of anything, we'll definitely let you know that. And you tune in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Men, let's be honest. Women get a lot of financial education directed toward them because they tend to be the most receptive to it. And it's not just a coincidence that most of the best-known personal finance experts happen to be women. While we're sitting there pretending no one can teach us anything about money, women are flooding financial literacy seminars, reading books, devouring financial blogs and podcasts, and going to websites on investing specifically tailored to their needs. Gentlemen, if we want real financial knowledge, we have to swallow our pride and seek that knowledge as aggressively as the ladies do. Real education starts with admitting what you don't know. For more information or for past shows, go to aurn.com. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyer.com. alphawarriors.com.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
Do you like the music you hear on KLEK 102.5 FM? Do you like the educational programming that we provide? Do you like the service we provide to the community? Do you like having a station to finally call your own that represents you? If so, please stop by or call any of our underwriters or sponsors that you hear on KLEK and tell them thank you for their support. The support of our underwriters and sponsors is vital for us to stay on the air, so be sure to let them know that you thank them for their support. KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month. Shout out to Always and Forever Pet Grooming, offering baths, nails, and haircuts for dogs and cats. 2929 South Caraway Road, Jonesboro. 870-520-0925.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, and we're joined this time around with our very own station manager, Lagenza Gill, along with Mrs. Emma Agnew from the Craighead County NAACP chapter, and Tamara Jackson from Arkansas State University. So we're going to wrap up our discussion, and one thing we didn't talk about, and it just left me again. Okay, we're going to wrap up our discussion. It's going to come back to me. So voter registration, census, membership.
I want to just real quick, because we've been talking about the street renaming, and there is an update on the KLEK website and on the NAACP Facebook page, so I won't go into detail, but the council will be meeting tomorrow night, and that will be the second reading of the ordinance, and so we encourage you to come out, show up. If you have something to say, there will be an opportunity for you to say it. There will be one more reading after this one before the council votes. And just to reiterate, we are encouraging them to not pass this ordinance. It is just not satisfactory. They just didn't see fit to even submit what we thought was satisfactory, and so this is just not. But beyond that, again, vote. If you are not registered, get registered. You can go to the courthouse and register if that's easier for you, or you can contact someone at the NAACP. You can contact me. But we really need people to turn out to vote. And the other thing real quick is the 2020 census. We'll be providing more information on that as the 2020 gets closer, but it's very important. It determines federal monies that are allocated to our city, so it is very important that you be a part of the 2020 census. And membership, $30 a year for adults, $10 a year for children and students. And we highly recommend that you become a member of the NAACP.
I want to just go back to the voting real quick. Again, once all of the candidates have filed their paperwork and we know who's running for what office, state, local, state, and federal, please get to know the candidates. I cannot stress that enough.
Right, yeah.
Lagenzi, would you like to weigh in on this? Let me see what you... Yes.
Okay, I hear myself. But, yeah, as Camila mentioned, we will interview all of the candidates. I believe we're looking at the filing period ends sometime later this month. So I won't give an exact date because I don't know, but sometime later this month the filing period will end, and then we will reach out. We're going to actually, we're going to still do our normal community conversation interviews, but we're actually going to try to get some debates scheduled this election season, kind of like how we did with the Team Jonesboro versus Citizens. So just be on the lookout for that. But don't wait for us. Like Camila said, get to know them for yourselves. You know, one of the good things about having social media today is just about all of these candidates do have social media pages. You can inbox those pages. You can leave comments, questions, and interact directly with those candidates. Ask your questions, air your concerns. Ask them to hold town hall meetings. Invite them to your churches. Get to know them, study their positions. Then most importantly, step into the booth and voting. I just add one more thing. We also have voter registration forms here at KLEK. I always keep them in my office, so it's another option at KLEK. We will never tell you who or what to vote for, but we definitely will tell you to vote. And if you can't reach anyone else, then contact us here, and we will happily get you registered to vote.
All right. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Emma, membership NAACP.
Yes, yes. And as I said, a strong NAACP is a NAACP with members,
okay.
And so it is crucial. You know, we're doing pretty well, but we could do so much better. My goal is 500 members.
Okay. Alrighty then.
And I'll give myself a couple of years to reach that. But that's my goal. I think that's a good number, and if we can go above that, we'll go above that. But
and we have enough people just on one side of town that can make up the membership.
Yeah.
So let's everyone, and then I want to stress this, even though it should be known knowledge. Not all the members are black. You can be any race.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and we really are proud and boast about our diverse NAACP, ages, colors, races, RACES. But yeah, and we're really proud of that fact, and everybody works so hard and well together. And real quick, white folks started the NAACP. I don't know if a lot of folk realize that or not, but it was started by white folk 112 years ago. So you don't have to be any particular race to join. We welcome Hispanics. Somebody said that we didn't really recruit other minorities, but anybody is welcome to join the NAACP, whether you're a minority or not. Your vote, your membership, your vote matters just like everybody else in there. So, yeah. So, join. I think you all have some NAACP membership still here at KLEK. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, they have the NAACP memberships here at KLEK too.
Okay. Well, I would definitely be filling out my membership form.
Yes.
For the week.
That's right. Yeah.
And submitting that. It's about time that I've start walking and when I talk.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
All right. So we thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank you everyone out there for listening and supporting KLEK. If you missed any part of the interview, go back and catch the replay on our Facebook page or to our YouTube channel, KLEK 102.5 FM. We made it easy for you to find us. All right. So thank you all for tuning in, and join us tomorrow morning for another edition of Community Conversations at 9 a.m. 20 seconds, Lagenzi, any final words?
What's the disclaimer? I don't have any final words. So thank you to everyone that appreciate the opportunity to educate, entertain, and you guys have a great day. Okay, 2.5. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the